Hi guys, welcome back. I just want to get my post-fight thoughts out for the big fight that happened at the weekend, Manny Pacquiao against Manuel Marquez. Um, as a boxing fan, not as a fan of a boxer, as a boxing fan, I can only be positive about this fight. I really thought it was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was just the skill on display mixed with the heart from both guys. They were both just two warriors in there. I thought it was just brilliant. And boxing is a game of balance. And in the moments before that opening bell goes, the scales are finally balanced. And the object of the game is to tip the balance in your favour. And if there is a fight where the balance of the scales is tipped either way, constantly back and forth, it is Manny Pacquiao against Juan Manuel Marquez. They are both kryptonite for each other. They both cause each other problems and issues. Their styles just make for a great fight. Every time they make, even if we're not happy with the decision, we see fantastic skill on display, and we really do see some really world class boxing, and we see really exciting fights. And this was no different. This was sort of an encompassment of all the three fights before rolled into one, really. You had Marquez knocking Pacquiao down for the first time. Pacquiao responded, knocking Marquez down. And then obviously the tremendous finale. If you ever go to the opera or the theatre and you see the closing scene, it really was something to behold. It was like just a boxing match can be like a fine story, a well told story, and this really was a story. Pacquiao came out in the first round, and I thought he was controlling the fight somewhat. He looked good, but we always know that he starts well, and Marquez tends to start a bit slower while he works his guy out. And then the tables turned when Marquez landed that right hand, and Pacquiao went down. Then we saw Pacquiao, banging the gloves together, showing the pride that he always has, coming back. And Marquez, by then, had sort of started to get his number a little bit, started to bring back the memories into Pacquiao's mind that this guy, always seems to be able to give me issues. But then Pacquiao started getting on top again, and then he knocked Marquez down, and then you thought, oh, wow, Pacquiao's going to go on and get this fight. And then, it seemed to be, because to me, and I've heard other people say Pacquiao was kind of on top in that sixth round, and I thought he was slightly ahead on the scorecards. And then that happened. Just before the bell at the end of the sixth round, I saw two guys just come together, and I saw one guy go down, and I thought, Pacquiao's tripped. He's slipped, he's tripped over Marquez's foot, something, he's going to get up and he's going to go back to the corner, and, the bell's gone. Let's look forward to the rest of the fight. And he didn't move. And I was just shocked. I was just in absolute shock, because you're not used to seeing such a big figure in the sport, such as Manny Pacquiao. Well, we've never really seen him be stopped, because I know earlier in his career, in smaller fights, he was stopped, knocked out. But we've never seen it. Recently, you just don't see it happen. And it was shocking. And Marquez didn't seem to believe it for a few seconds. He was looking as if, like, what's this guy doing? Is he playing games, He couldn't believe it himself. And then when he realised, he went absolutely crazy. The crowd was going crazy. And you saw the celebrations. He was just... he got his redemption, his revenge. And, at first I was just thinking, I hope Pacquiao's okay. Because when you see a guy give a performance like that and still get caught with a punch, it happens. This is boxing. And really... such a fantastic knockout, severe knockout. You really just hope the guy's okay and he lives to fight another day. And I was happy when Pacquiao finally awoke and was okay. You don't wish ill on fighters who give you a performance and entertain you in the way that Pacquiao did, along with Marquez. Fantastic for Marquez. People are saying it was a fine counterpunch. I don't think it was a counterpunch. Both guys threw at the same time, and Marquez caught him. Pacquiao lunged in, got overconfident, and his face was moving towards the punch. Just landed crisp, landed the perfect punch. And that's fantastic knockout, quite frankly. one of the best you're likely to see. And what more can I say on the fight? It was just a really enjoyable fight. I really enjoyed it. And just another thing I'd like to mention now. This is something that, although you didn't really think it would happen, because it never really happens in Pacquiao getting hurt, and especially not like that, it's still something that was always possible. Because we've seen it with Amir Khan, another Freddie Roach fighter. And I've said it before, Freddie Roach isn't really a good defensive trainer. He relies on the offense of the fighter being the defense. So the fact that he's got Pacquiao, who's a supremely offensively gifted fighter, and he had Amir Khan, who was another extremely offensively gifted fighter. Quick hands, overwhelms the opponent, doesn't give him a chance. Very difficult to counterpunch these guys because they're so quick. They throw really good combinations. And it takes a world-class counterpuncher like Marquez to actually counterpunch a guy like Pacquiao. You know, we really see the weaknesses in Freddie Roach's training game and his training regime and his plan. I think this just reinforces my feelings that whatever happens with Amir Khan, to move away from Freddie Roach to a more well-rounded trainer like Virgil Hunter was a very good choice in my opinion. Obviously, I don't know how Khan's going to look against Molina this weekend. I don't know how he's going to look going forward, whether he's going to be a different fighter or what. But at least he's given it a chance. And I think, again, we don't know how good Virgil Hunter is because he's only really had Andre Ward. And he's had him from a young age. But I just think it's a good move. If you're going to give yourself a chance, you need to go to a different trainer who actually addresses defensive issues. Because quite frankly, I know I might sound harsh, but I don't think Freddie Roach has that as part of his artillery in training fighters. And I think you can see in his other fighters he's trained. Jorge Linares, extremely talented fighter, naturally gifted. You know, I remember Emmanuel Stewart saying he was watching him against DeMarco, Linares against DeMarco, and he said something about Linares. I had to sort of do a double take because I thought Emmanuel Stewart said something like Linares was showing him some of the best boxing he's ever seen, natural ability or technique, you know, and then Linares got stopped because the defense is not there. And while they're very good and impressive in attack, they just don't seem to have amazing defence. And you've got people like Kid Chocolate, Peter Quillin, who again is relying on good offence. Is he that adept in defence? No. Freddie Roach doesn't really have defensive fighters, and I think there's a reason for that. Chavez Jr. has always been easy to hit. And Freddie Roach has made him into this come-forward fighter who fights like his father, but he doesn't have a defence, really. So, he can take a punch, which is all very well, but he doesn't really have defensive technique. And that's something I think is missing from Freddie Roach's game. And as a trainer, personally, I will always see Freddie Roach, and I guess remember Freddie Roach one day, as a trainer who was extremely gifted in training his fighters to be good offensively and making the most of a fighter's natural offensive skills. But I will always remember him and see him as a fighter, as a trainer, who lacked in defensive qualities, in teaching his boxers the art of defence, the importance of defence. And another thing I think Freddie Roach, particularly lately, has lacked is the ability to command respect from his fighters. It happened with Khan, it happened with Pacquiao. And I'm not just talking about outside the ring, where he's talking about Pacquiao is telling him what to do. I'm talking about in the ring. His fighters don't have a certain type of mental ability to listen to him. I don't know whether he's telling them or whether he's just not telling them these things. But if he says to them, take your time, stay patient, like for example, don't rush in and try and knock this guy's head off at the last second of the 6th round, you might get caught. They're not listening to him. Or they don't have that ability to keep a calm head. His fighters are very prideful, and that gets you in trouble in the boxing match. They're very reliant on natural ability, and not so much on the thinking part of boxing. So, they're my thoughts on the fight and my thoughts on Freddie Roach, because I think that out of this fight, aside from just the fight, I also wanted to give my 2 pennies on Freddie Roach, because he's a fantastic trainer when it comes to offense, but I do think he's a reflection of his fighters, and his fighters are a reflection of him. In that his fighters are great in offense, and he's great in teaching them offense, but his fighters aren't very good in defense, and he can't really teach them defense. And that's just my thoughts on Freddie Roach, my thoughts on the fight. Please let me know what you guys think. And I hope you enjoyed the weekend of boxing. I did. We had some other good fights that happened on the weekend, but that was the main one I wanted to give my thoughts on. So thanks for watching. This is Boxpred, and I'm out.